we got to make the bars next, or rather make the slots to hold the bars. So right here you see a square hole. We got to make a series of mortises to fit the actual bars in. So to do that, we're going to lay those out first. So I've selected 4 rails that will receive the bars 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to mark those out on 4 rails so we can use what's called a hollow chisel mortise machine to make those. And again, you don't know what that is yet. That's okay, but the important thing is here that you know how to lay out your locations for your mortises. So what I'm going to do is start with one, and once I show you one, the rest will be self-explanatory. So we're going to start in a vise like this. Let me see if I can get you in a little tighter here. And then lower this down a bit. How about like that? That's pretty good. Okay, so we're gonna start by finding the center of the board. So this is 11-inch board. Half of 11 is 5.5. All right, so there's 5.5. Set that light again. All right, so a pencil mark right there at half of 11, 5.5. Now the bars are 3/4 of an inch wide. So I want to come over half of 3/4 and over half of 3/4. Well, from our other experiences, we know half of 3/4 is 3/8. So I'm going to come over 3/8 from one side. And then half of 3/4 again is 3/8. So I'll make a mark on those 2 lines that I just made. So what I have again here is I found the center of the board. I went over half of 3/4 and then went over half of 3/4 to give me a total distance between these 2 lines to be 3/4 of an inch. Double check. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now what I want to do is go on a series of 3/4 inch marks because our spacing is 3/4 and our marks or our bars are 3/4 of an inch too. So I'm going to set my ruler, make a mark at 3/4, and then make a mark at 3/4. Again, keep repeating that process. Make a mark at 3/4, and then one more at 3/4. And then I'll do that on the other side as well. So all I'm doing is making a series of tick marks with my pencil at 3/4 of an inch off of the outside line. So 3/4. 3/4. 3/4. And 3/4. Okay, so now I got my marks set there. I'll put my square back together and make those marks bigger. Pencil goes on the line, slide the ruler to the pencil. All right, so now I have my series of marks. What I'm going to do is put a little squiggly mark where the bars are going to live. So when I cut my mortises for my bars, I know that the bars are going to live in those spots. And then just to double check, I should have 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just like that. Now all you have to do is transfer those marks onto my other board. And if I do this, open up my vise, drop my boards in there, clamp it down, line up my boards nice and even, I should be able just to transfer those marks over with a square. There we go. Now I can use my square. Actually, I'll grab a bigger one, the one that you students normally use. Might be handy. So with a bigger square, I'll take those marks and transfer my marks all the way through all the boards at once, so I don't have to sit there and measure each one out. All right. There you have it. Now all the squiggly marks are where I want my mortises to live. Next step is to cut these all out. Okay, so this machine here is called a hollow chisel mortise machine. Let me get you kind of zoomed out a little bit here. I'll show you what it looks like. Kind of like a mini drill press. Basically pull the handle down. Oh, it's already down. There you go. And what happens is there's this little blade in here that's surrounded by a drill bit. So it looks like that right there. The square part cuts a hole, and the drill bit cuts the actual hole itself. So the square part squares up the hole, and the drill bit drills the hole. So that's kind of what we're looking at when we talk about the hollow chisel mortise machine. All right, so one thing I forgot to mention was that we need to also make these two lines right here to represent the center of the square we're going to cut out. So the distance from here to here and the distance from here to here is the same. And then that means we're going to have a 3/8 of an inch mortise. So math-wise, what I did is came in, found the center, up 3/16, down 3/16, or you can measure 3/16 from the edge in to get your 3/8 mortise. So that's the fence here should be set for you. Let me readjust you. The fence should be set. This fence can come in and out, but you want to make sure you do your layout line at least on one to make sure that you're in the right spot. So what we're going to do is turn it on and then plunge or cut. So that's one down, and 19 more to go.